Have you ever noticed how two people can start with exactly the same opportunities, face the same challenges, yet end up in completely different places? One achieves remarkable success, while the other struggles to make progress. What's the difference? It's not talent. It's not connections. It's not even luck. It's attitude. That invisible force that determines whether you see obstacles or opportunities, whether you persevere or quit, whether you take action or make excuses. Today, we're diving deep into Jeff Keller's transformative book, Attitude is Everything, where he reveals the shocking truth about how your thoughts literally create your reality. By the end of this video, you'll understand why changing your attitude isn't just helpful. It's absolutely essential if you want to transform your career, relationships, health, and every other aspect of your life. This isn't just motivational fluff. These are proven principles that have helped thousands of people break through barriers they once thought were permanent. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn could be the missing piece you've been searching for. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm incredibly excited to share today's book with you because it's one that genuinely changed my perspective on life. We're exploring Jeff Keller's powerful guide, Attitude is Everything. Before we dive in, let me share something personal. A few years ago, I was stuck in a cycle of frustration with my career. I had all these dreams and ambitions, but I kept hitting walls. I was constantly blaming external circumstances, the economy, my boss, not having the right connections. Then I discovered this book, and it forced me to confront an uncomfortable truth. The biggest obstacle in my path was my own attitude. Jeff Keller's journey is remarkably relatable. He wasn't born a motivational guru. He was actually a successful attorney who found himself deeply unhappy with his career choice. Despite outward success, he felt trapped and unfulfilled. Through his own process of transformation, he discovered principles that not only changed his professional life, but revolutionized his entire approach to living. What makes this book different from other self-help resources is its practicality. Keller doesn't just tell you to think positive. He provides specific, actionable techniques to transform your thinking patterns, overcome obstacles, and achieve goals you might currently believe are impossible. Attitude is Everything is structured around three key principles. 1. Your attitude determines your approach to life. 2. Your attitude determines your relationships with people. 3. Your attitude determines how you face challenges. Throughout this video, we'll explore each of these principles in detail, along with the practical strategies Keller provides for implementing them in your daily life. Let's start with a fundamental question. What exactly is attitude? Keller defines it as your mental filter, the lens through which you interpret everything that happens to you. This filter determines whether you see possibilities or problems, whether you take initiative or make excuses, and ultimately, whether you succeed or fail. Your attitude is your window to the world. Keller begins with a powerful metaphor that perfectly illustrates the importance of attitude. He says your attitude is like a window through which you view the world. When that window is clean and clear, the world looks bright, full of possibilities. You notice opportunities, you appreciate beauty, you see the good in people. But when your attitude window gets dirty, clouded by negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, past disappointments, everything looks distorted. Opportunities appear as risks. Challenges look like impossible obstacles. Other people seem threatening rather than helpful. Here's the crucial point. You have complete control over the cleanliness of your window. You can choose to wipe away negative thoughts and replace them with positive ones. You can decide to interpret events in ways that empower rather than diminish you. Keller emphasizes that we all face difficult circumstances. That's simply part of being human. The difference between successful people and everyone else isn't that they avoid problems. It's that they respond to those problems with a constructive attitude. Let me share a powerful example from the book. Keller tells the story of two sales representatives who were sent to a remote region to assess the market for shoes. Both saw exactly the same situation, a population where no one wore shoes. The first representative sent back a discouraged message. No opportunity here. Nobody wears shoes. The second sent an enthusiastic report. Tremendous opportunity. Nobody has shoes yet. Same circumstances, completely different interpretations, and as a result, entirely different actions and outcomes. Keller introduces what he calls the 3 dimensions of attitude. First, your thoughts. What you consistently think eventually becomes your reality. Your thoughts are like seeds. Plant positive thoughts about success, growth, and opportunity, and that's what will grow in your life. Plant negative thoughts about limitation, failure, and disappointment, and that's what you'll harvest. For example, if you constantly think, "I'm not good enough for promotion," you'll behave in ways that reinforce that belief. You might not volunteer for visible projects. You might not speak up in meetings. You might not even apply for higher positions. Your thought becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Keller recommends a simple but powerful practice: thought awareness. For one full day, carry a small notebook and write down every negative thought you have. This exercise often reveals just how much negative self-talk we engage in without even realizing it. Once you're aware of these thoughts, you can challenge and replace them. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't handle this project," pause and reframe it to something like, "This project will be challenging, but it's an opportunity to develop new skills." I tried this exercise myself, and I was shocked to discover I had over 40 negative thoughts before lunch. No wonder I was feeling stuck. This awareness was the first step toward changing my thought patterns. Keller emphasizes that changing your thoughts is not about denying reality or pretending problems don't exist. It's about approaching those problems with a productive mindset that empowers you to find solutions rather than surrender to circumstances. Success begins in your mind. In this powerful section, Keller reveals that all achievement starts with thought, a mental image of what's possible. Before any great accomplishment in human history, someone had to first believe it could be done. He introduces the concept of the expectation threshold, the level of success you believe is possible for you. Most people set this threshold far too low based on past experiences, limiting beliefs, or what others have told them is realistic. Keller explains that your brain is constantly working to align your external reality with your internal expectations. If you expect to fail, your brain will find ways to make that happen. If you expect to succeed, your brain becomes alert to opportunities that support that outcome. Let me share a fascinating example from the book. Keller tells the story of a group of students who were randomly divided into 2 groups. Their teachers were told falsely that one group had tested as gifted and the other as average. By the end of the school year, the gifted group had significantly outperformed the average group, not because of any actual difference in ability, but simply because the expectations were different. The teachers expected more from the gifted group, treated them accordingly, and the students lived up to those expectations. This demonstrates the incredible power of expectations, both from others and from ourselves. Keller provides several practical techniques to raise your expectation threshold. First, visualization, creating detailed mental images of already having achieved your goals. This isn't daydreaming. It's a deliberate practice used by elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, and high achievers in every field. When you vividly imagine success, you're essentially programming your brain to recognize and act on opportunities that align with that vision. For effective visualization, Keller recommends including all your senses. Don't just see yourself succeeding. Hear the congratulations, feel the satisfaction, experience the entire scene as if it's already happened. Second, Keller recommends creating a victory log, a journal where you record all your successes, no matter how small. This builds momentum and creates evidence that contradicts limiting beliefs. When you feel discouraged, reviewing this log reminds you of your capabilities and past triumphs. Third, he suggests surrounding yourself with success. Read biographies of successful people, especially those who overcame significant obstacles. Listen to motivational content that reinforces possibility rather than limitation. Associate with positive, achievement-oriented people who elevate your thinking rather than drag you down. A particularly powerful concept in this section is what Keller calls the as-if principle. This technique involves acting as if you already possess the confidence, skills, or success you desire. When you act as if you're confident, your body language changes, your voice becomes more assured, and people respond to you differently, which in turn actually builds genuine confidence. I've personally used this technique when speaking publicly. By acting as if I was already a confident speaker, standing tall, projecting my voice, making eye contact, I eventually became one, even though I was terrified at first. Keller shares the story of a sales professional who was struggling to meet his targets. Rather than dwelling on his failures, he began visualizing successful sales meetings, keeping a victory log of even small wins, and acting as if he was already a top performer. Within 3 months, he had doubled his sales and was recognized as the company's rising star. The key takeaway from this section is that success doesn't begin with external circumstances. It begins with your internal expectations and beliefs about what's possible for you. The power of your words. In this transformative section, Keller explores how our language shapes our reality. The words we use, both in conversation with others and in our internal dialogue, have tremendous power to either limit or expand our possibilities. Keller explains that words aren't just expressions of thoughts. They actually reinforce and strengthen those thoughts. When you repeatedly verbalize negative statements like, "I'm not good at math," or "I always mess up important presentations," you're essentially programming your subconscious mind to make those statements true. He introduces what he calls the complaining syndrome, the habit of focusing on and talking about what's wrong rather than what's right. Complaining not only reinforces negative thinking, it also repels the very people who might help you succeed. Keller shares a powerful story about a department with two employees with similar qualifications. One constantly complained about company policies, co-workers, and assignments. The other focused on solutions and opportunities. When a promotion became available, the choice was obvious. The positive communicator advanced while the complainer remained stuck. Keller provides several practical techniques to transform your language. First, the 30-day no complaint challenge. For 1 month, commit to not complaining about anything, not the weather, not traffic, not politics, not your spouse or boss or kids. This doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means addressing them constructively rather than just venting about them. I tried this challenge myself, and let me tell you, it's much harder than it sounds. I had to catch myself dozens of times a day at first, but by the second week, I noticed a significant shift in my perspective. I was focusing on solutions rather than problems, and people actually seemed to enjoy being around me more. Second, Keller recommends eliminating disempowering phrases from your vocabulary. These include, I can't, it's impossible, I'm just not good at, I always mess up when, with my luck. Replace these with empowering alternatives. I can figure this out. I'm looking for ways to make this happen. I'm developing my skills and I'm learning from each experience. I create my own opportunities. Third, Keller introduces the power of yet, a simple but profound linguistic shift. Adding yet to the end of a negative statement transforms it from a permanent limitation to a temporary situation. For example, I don't have the skills becomes I don't have the skills yet. I haven't reached my goal becomes I haven't reached my goal yet. I don't know how to do this becomes I don't know how to do this yet. This small addition acknowledges your current reality while keeping the door open for growth and possibility. Keller also discusses the importance of asking empowering questions. Instead of, why does this always happen to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why can't I ever succeed? Ask, what one step can I take today toward my goal? The questions you ask direct your focus, and your focus determines your actions and results. A particularly powerful concept in this section is what Keller calls the conversation circle. He explains that for any significant goal, you need to have more positive conversations about that goal than negative ones. For example, if you're starting a business and you have 10 conversations where you express doubt, fear, and limitation, followed by 2 conversations expressing confidence and possibility, your doubts will overpower your confidence. Monitor the overall direction of your conversations about important goals. Are they predominantly positive or negative? This awareness alone can help you shift your language in a more constructive direction. How to react to challenges. This section might be the most valuable in the entire book because it addresses a universal truth. Everyone faces setbacks and difficulties. The difference between successful people and others isn't the absence of problems, it's how they respond to those problems. Keller introduces the 24-hour rule, which acknowledges that it's natural to feel disappointed when things don't go as planned. Give yourself permission to feel that disappointment, but only for 24 hours. After that, refocus on solutions, and move forward. This approach is both realistic and empowering. It doesn't demand immediate positivity in the face of genuine setbacks, but it also doesn't allow for extended periods of self-pity or helplessness. Keller shares the story of a woman who was laid off from her executive position after 15 years with the company. She allowed herself one day to feel angry and betrayed. Then she shifted her perspective, viewing the layoff as an opportunity to start the consulting business she had always dreamed of building. Within a year, she was earning more than her previous salary and enjoying greater freedom and fulfillment. One of the most powerful concepts in this section is reframing failures as feedback. Keller explains that failures aren't final verdicts on your abilities or worth. They're simply information that can help you adjust your approach. He shares inspiring stories of famous people who faced multiple failures before achieving massive success. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before successfully inventing the light bulb. When asked about these failures, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job because he lacked imagination. His first animation company went bankrupt. He was rejected over 300 times before securing financing for Disneyland. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter was accepted. She was a single mother on welfare when she wrote the first book. These stories remind us that persistence through difficulty is often the key differentiator between ultimate success and failure. First, the 5-minute start. When facing a task you're avoiding, commit to working on it for just 5 minutes. Often, getting started is the hardest part, and once you begin, you'll continue well past the 5-minute mark. I've used this technique countless times with tasks I was procrastinating on, including writing scripts for this channel. Just 5 minutes of focused work frequently turns into an hour or more of productive flow. Second, Keller recommends breaking large goals into small, manageable steps. Instead of focusing on writing an entire book, focus on writing 1 page. Instead of trying to lose 50 pounds, focus on making healthy choices for one day. These small victories build momentum that carries you toward your larger goal. Third, he introduces the concept of showing up when you don't feel like it. Successful people take action based on commitment rather than convenience or mood. They exercise when they don't feel like exercising. They make sales calls when they don't feel like making sales calls. They have difficult conversations when they'd rather avoid them. This consistency separates achievers from dreamers. As Keller says, motivation often follows action, not the other way around. Sometimes you need to act your way into feeling, rather than waiting to feel your way into action. A particularly powerful concept in this section is what Keller calls the power of incremental improvement. He explains that seeking to improve by just 1% each day leads to remarkable progress over time. This approach makes growth manageable and sustainable, rather than overwhelming. For example, if you're a salesperson making 10 calls per day, increasing to 11 calls seems minor, just a 10% improvement. But over a year, that's 250 additional calls, which could translate to significant additional revenue. Keller shares the story of a woman who wanted to write a novel but felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of the project. Instead of focusing on the entire book, she committed to writing just one page per day, about 250 words. This seemed almost trivially achievable. Yet after 1 year, she had written over 90,000 words, a complete first draft of her novel. What makes this section so valuable is the emphasis on starting small. Keller doesn't expect readers to transform overnight, but provides a framework for gradual, sustainable change. He acknowledges that there will be setbacks along the way, but emphasizes that consistency, not perfection, is the key to long-term success. The section concludes with what Keller calls the success spiral, the idea that small successes build confidence, which leads to greater action, which produces larger successes, creating an upward spiral of achievement. The key is to generate initial momentum through small wins that build belief in your capabilities. Let's summarize the most powerful insights from Attitude is Everything. 1. Your attitude is a choice. In any situation, you can choose how you interpret and respond to events. This choice, more than any external circumstance, determines your outcomes. 2. Your thoughts create your reality. What you consistently think about shapes the actions you take and the results you get. Monitor and manage your thoughts as carefully as you would any other valuable resource. 3. Raise your expectation threshold. Most people set their expectations far too low. Through visualization, affirmation, and the as-if principle, you can expand your sense of what's possible. 4. Your words reinforce your thoughts. The language you use has tremendous power to either limit or expand your possibilities. Eliminate complaining and disempowering phrases from your vocabulary. 5. View failures as feedback, not final verdicts. Every setback contains valuable lessons that can help you succeed next time. Give yourself 24 hours to feel disappointed, then refocus on solutions. 6. Growth happens outside your comfort zone. Intentionally place yourself in challenging situations to develop your adversity muscles. 7. Small, consistent actions lead to big results. Success comes from doing the right things day after day, even when immediate results aren't visible. 8. Start with 5 minutes. Overcome procrastination by committing to just 5 minutes of focused work on important tasks. 9. Seek incremental improvement. Improving by just 1% each day leads to remarkable progress over time. 10. Create a success spiral. Small wins build confidence, leading to greater action and larger successes. Attitude is Everything isn't just another positive thinking book. It's a practical guide to transforming your life from the inside out. What makes Keller's approach so powerful is that it's accessible to everyone. You don't need special talents, connections, or resources to apply these principles. You just need the willingness to take control of your thoughts, words, and actions. The beauty of this approach is that it puts you in the driver's seat of your life. While you can't control every circumstance, you absolutely can control how you respond to those circumstances. And that response, your attitude, determines your outcomes more than any external factor. I encourage you to start applying these principles today. Begin with just one concept. Maybe monitoring your thoughts for negativity, eliminating complaining for 30 days, or implementing the 5-minute start technique. Even small shifts in your attitude can produce significant results over time. Remember, changing your attitude isn't always easy, especially If you've developed negative thought patterns over many years, be patient with yourself. Celebrate small victories and persist through the inevitable setbacks. As Keller emphasizes throughout the book, consistency matters more than perfection. I highly recommend reading the full book, as there are many more valuable insights and practical exercises than I could cover in this video. The principles are timeless, and the potential impact is truly life-changing. If you've read Attitude is Everything or plan to pick it up after watching this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. How has your attitude shaped your life so far? What shifts are you planning to make? This book has genuinely changed my perspective and helped me break through limitations I once thought were permanent. I believe it can do the same for you. Don't forget to like this video if you found it valuable and subscribe for more in-depth book summaries that can help transform your life. Thanks for watching, and remember, your attitude really is everything.